People would have laughed at you if you had told them a decade ago that they could live in Beck's Hollywood Hills residence with a music studio for 2.95M. The internet has made it easier than ever to know just about anything you want. So, with all this content and information available, how did you know which ones to learn from and which ones actually work? Luckily for you, TTP member, for today's video, we'll be talking about Beck. Did you know that he's asking for $2.95 million for his Hollywood Hills residence with a music studio? Remember that while the first step is completing any of this amazing information, the second and possibly more important step is taking action, even if it's imperfect action. The Hollywood Hills residence of Beck is currently listed for $2.95 million. The Craftsman home belonged to the singer-songwriter who paid $1,045,000 for it in 2014. Recent divorce proceedings between him and his ex-wife Marisa Ribisi resulted in the division of their assets, including several homes and works of art. According to People, the loser singer owned 10 houses spread across California, Tennessee, Arkansas, and while his ex-wife kept one in California. The Hollywood Hills residence is situated in the posh neighborhood known as The Oaks. According to the listing information, the elegant area has undergone complete renovation by the present owner. The 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home is 2,364 square feet and was constructed in 1948. The open floor plan with plenty of natural light features a dining and living area that leads to an outdoor covered and heated lounging area as well as a terraced backyard. The main living area and a bedroom both contain the musician's recording gear, which also includes several guitars. Modern kitchens have marble countertops, top-of-the-line appliances, and a sizable island with sitting. The main bedroom also has an enormous walk-in closet and an upgraded bathroom. The 52-year-old appears to enjoy a few home flips when not immersed in his music. He and his ex-wife Ribisi apparently bought a Los Feliz house 2 years before and they marketed it in 2019. According to Architectural Digest, the couple had previously purchased and sold 2 additional homes on the same block. In 2017, the multi-genre artist Beck David Campbell, commonly known as Beck Hansen and simply Beck, is frequently credited with giving Generation X an anthem with his 1994 song Loser. The Los Angeles native defined a decade with this song by fusing skateboard hip-hop with loose alternative rock. Beyond this dismissive single, Beck rose to prominence as one of the most important authors of the 1990s and the early 2000s. He experimented with funk, lovelorn acoustic, and even Tin Pan Alley sheet music. Beck has been putting out music that transcends both time and frequently even genre as late as 2014. What's Up, Gero? Beck was conceived in Los Angeles in 1970 by musician David Campbell and Bibi Hansen, an apprentice of Andy Warhol. The family, which included brother Channing as well, resided in a disadvantaged part of the city where Korean and Salvadoran influences were particularly strong. Much of the latter would serve as the basis for Beck's 2005 song Gero, which has a Latin flavor and recounts his boyhood as one of the few Caucasians in the neighborhood. Beck, who disliked traditional education, left high school in the 9th grade. The kid hopped between his immediate family in Los Angeles and his grandparents in Kansas, having been raised on a smorgasbord of Scientology, Presbyterianism, hip-hop, and folk music. He worked odd jobs as a video shop clerk and a leaf blower operator before picking up the guitar for the first time at the age of 16. These jobs would later be integrated into his folk shows. He bounced back and forth from New York City to Los Angeles, where he engaged himself in the power pop music scene, taking in influences from Sonic Youth and the anti-folk trend. Beck remembered trying to play Sun House hits on live at Jabberjaw and other renowned places, but no one was paying attention in a famous interview with Entertainment Weekly. So he created his own bizarre way by improvising lyrics about working at McDonald's, donning a stormtrooper mask, and performing. Around 1992, Bongload Custom Records and BMG Music Publishing became interested in Loser, rules Beck's spontaneous manner. Loser was created as a result of the artist's collaboration with Carl Stephenson of Rap-A-Lot Records, thanks to Tom Rothrock of Bongload. Rothrock persisted in promoting the silly song, and Loser slowly made its way onto the radio in March 1993. And when tastemaker KROQ heard it, it became viral. Beck immediately received a call from Geffen and he signed with their DGC label, which also houses Weezer, Hole, and Nirvana. Even while Loser was well liked when it was first released, it wasn't until 1994 reissue that it attained legendary status. From there, the myth and discussion just developed. Eventually, Loser reached the top of the modern rock charts and debuted in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. Thus, Beck's subsequent two albums, Mellow Gold and Stereopathetic Soul Manure Flipside from 1994, cemented his status as an alternative rock icon. And Odelay, his subsequent significant release from 1996, would establish him as a true luminary. New pollutants. What was previously unusual has suddenly become fashionable. Beck's brilliant fusion of scratchy hip hop beats and plucked guitars evolved into its own genre. Due to the success of Where Is At, Devil's Haircut, and The New Pollution, Odelay went double platinum. Beck was introduced to the public via the Dust Brothers' Everything and the Kitchen Sink production, which won the 1997 Grammy for Best Alternative Music Album. Beck fluctuated between the characteristics of a cool crooner on the following two albums: 1998's Mutation, Geffen, and 1999's Midnight Vultures. These successive, wildly dissimilar offerings were merely a preview of the author's next works. His busiest hours. Beck Hansen has established himself as a true innovator and collaborator for the greater part of a decade now. He collaborated with Danger Mouse in 2008 to create the eerie, disorienting Modern Guild, and later produced music for Thurston Moore and Charlotte Gainsbourg. He took on the role of the fictional sex Bob Omb in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, served as a conductor of sorts for a variety of projects, including the Record Club, in which contemporary bands would cover entire albums by veterans like the Velvet Underground, and wrote a collection of sheet music in 2012 titled Song Reader. Despite all of these trials, Beck hadn't completely given up on the album. Morning Phase, his 12th album, was released by Capitol in February 2014 and was named Album of the Year at the 2015 Grammy Awards. The artist had a stellar second half of the year. To commemorate his Grammy victory, he released the dance rock single Dreams. He has since played at numerous gigs with everyone from Paul McCartney to Taylor Swift. Even one of the most important accolades from the mainstream entertainment sector was bestowed upon this champion of DIY and independent music, the Grammy for Album of the Year for Morning Phase. There seems to be nothing Beck cannot accomplish. A musician who crafts such complex soundscapes has undoubtedly led an adventurous life. So grab your two turntables, your microphone, and take a look at some of the most fascinating moments in Beck's life and career. Beck has very bohemian ancestral lineage. That Beck hails from an artistic family full of fascinating individuals shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who knows him as a musician with a broad musical and cultural vocabulary. The Presbyterian clergyman who served as his paternal grandfather introduced him to church music. He admitted to Rolling Stones that music inspired me a lot, although not intentionally. Those lyrics have a fantastic, uncomfortable, and biblical quality. He has observed Al Hansen, his late maternal grandpa, having a direct influence on his work. Then, Beck claimed he sprayed the entire thing with silver. He collects cigarette butts and glues them together and crafts portraits of naked ladies. His work involved turning garbage into fine art. Perhaps I'll do that as well. Bibi Hansen, a performance artist and student of Andy Warhol, is the mother of Beck and the daughter of Al Hansen. David Campbell, a bluegrass guitarist and arranger who contributed to Beck's Sea Change, is Beck's other parent. Beck not only inherited his father's religious beliefs, but also some musical proclivities. When he was born in 1970, his name appeared on his birth certificate as Beck Campbell. A teacher changed the spelling of his name to Beck when he first entered school. Beck, who later changed his name to Beck, took on his mother's last name after the divorce of his parents, actress Bibi Hansen and singer David Campbell. Loser by Beck was a lark. Major rock stars don't typically emerge from experimental music, but it was Loser, a song that was unlike anything else at the time, that made the world fall in love with Beck in 1994. With a slide guitar melody, a self-deprecating bilingual chorus, speech samples, and strange lyrics like dog food skulls and the beefcake pantyhose, this DIY rap song is unmistakably lo-fi. Amazingly, Loser rose to number 10 on the pop chart, launching Beck's illustrious career. And to think none of it would have been possible if Beck, a little known Los Angeles indie folkie, hadn't jammed with a total stranger one afternoon in the early 1990s. Tom Rothrock, a friend of Beck's, was launching the indie record label Bong Load Records. Hey, I know this guy who makes hip hop tracks and things. Tom had called and said, "Oh, yeah, between songs, I sometimes rap and ask audience members to beatbox into the microphone." Carl Stephenson, according to Beck, appeared unimpressed before playing the song's slide guitar riff. A drum beat was added by Rothrock's acquaintance, and Beck came up with some possible lyrics. I thought, man, I'm the worst rapper in the world. I'm just a loser, when he played it back. The song, which was totally written and produced in under 6 hours, now had a title. Album delay by Beck wasn't meant to work. Mellow Gold, Beck's debut studio album, was an unusual one by the norms of popular music. In a Rolling Stone interview, the artist compared it to a satanic K-tel record that's been found in a trash bin that some listeners half swallowed before spitting it out. Odelay, a brilliant combination of punk, noise, folk, and country, was perhaps even more weird when it was released in 1996 and received almost universal acclaim. The tracks flow together intelligently and gracefully, taking Beck's kitchen sink style to new heights while yet managing to be a cohesive whole, according to Rolling Stone. It was nominated for Album of the Year at the 1997 Grammy Awards and won for Best Alternative Performance. Beck was able to quickly record an album. Beck discovered that, other than a brief song for the soundtrack to A Life Less Ordinary, he hadn't recorded any music in a studio in a few years after wrapping up a lengthy tour in support of his 1996 album Odelay. He told Rolling Stone, "I was really eager to do something creative with the band, go in and just produce some stuff real soon. I therefore scared up a few of the tracks I had lying around. In approximately a day, he recorded, mixed, and finished those few tracks, but he was stuck since his producer Nigel Godrich was planning a trip. He called shortly after and abruptly remarked, 'I'll blow it off. I've got 14 days. We'll just enter and complete it.' Beck and Godrich thus recorded and mixed 14 tracks in 14 days without doctoring anything. Afterward, as it was quickly recorded, that album was released as Beck's 1998 LP, Mutations. A song by Beck is so smooth, it violates a few laws. The wacky music videos Beck creates are often as postmodern and perplexing as his songs. The video for Sex Laws, a raucous piece of horn-driven funk from his 1999 album Midnight Vultures, is arguably his most entertaining. A support group interrupted by football players crashing through walls, floating furniture, fornicating canned goods, a banjo player with a zebra head, sky pirates, tacky robot costumes, a wizard, Jack Black's motivational speech about violas, and a man with long curly black hair who resembles smooth jazz legend Kenny G all appears in this video, which Beck himself directed. It's Justin Meldal Johnson, a collaborator with Beck, dressed as Kenny G instead of the real G-Man. At the American Music Awards, Beck did something really strange. Dick Clark, an entertainment mogul and the host of American Bandstand, a live music program in which the biggest bands in the nation appeared and lip synced and mimed, playing their instruments to their own pre recorded hits, launched the American Music Awards in 1973. Years ago, Clark's American Music Awards adopted the same strategy, much to the joy of Beck, who was scheduled to appear on the show's 2000 edition. Beck told Pitchfork, "When we got there, they told us that we had to play to a recording. I believe that this would be beneficial because I could now let the band focus on other activities. In mixed business, the majority of the band stopped pretending to play after less than a minute. While others had entered the audience and were simply hanging out, other people were performing exercises, according to Beck. The drummer continued to play, but this time, he used his hands rather than sticks to hit the drums. Even though Garth Brooks and Whitney Houston were sitting in the front row and unsure of what was going on, it may have come across as a little rude or bratty, but it was incredibly liberating. It was one of those instances where the machine briefly trembles. However, viewers of the broadcast missed much of Beck and the crew's shenanigans. Beck said, "They basically cut to my face, so you couldn't see anything." Beck can sometimes feel depressed. Beck favored danceable electro-funky music that he could groove to on stage throughout the entirety of his 1990s musical output, such as Sex Laws. All of that changed in 2002 when Beck released Sea Change, a somber, austere folk album about the breakdown of a relationship. Lost Cause, Already Dead, and Lonesome Tears are just a few of the depressing song titles. Beck's personal life underwent a sea change after the release of Sea Change. Those songs were written shortly after his 9-year engagement to Leigh Lemon came to an end. The two allegedly parted ways after Beck, who was wrapping up a tour, learned Lemon had been dating Whiskey Biscuits member on the side. According to the publication All Star via The Guardian, while promoting Sea Change, Beck refused to discuss his breakup with Lemon in detail, although he did explain the inspiration behind the song. They are straightforward melodies that are sincere in their attempt to portray a shared human experience. Beck explained to MTV that the concept of the song is to take something unhappy and attempt to transform it into something that is hopeful at the end. Leonard Cohen or Johnny Mitchell albums as they aid in the healing of those going through difficult circumstances. It simply feels good. Beck released a record that wasn't even an album. How else could Beck continue to challenge himself and innovate current music after releasing more than 10 albums by 2012? He created a fresh batch of songs which he later made available to the public as sheet music, their most basic and unadorned form. Before the advent of mass-produced audio media, songs first became popular as sheet music in the 19th century. These were essentially instructions on how to play a tune on an instrument, generally the piano. That is the main idea behind Beck's 2012 project, Song Reader, a binder filled with the sheet music for 20 new songs rather than an album of recorded tracks. To hear how the song sounded, the singer-songwriter urged audience members to play them for themselves. Beck's career was completely derailed by a spinal injury. In the 2005 music video for his single E-Pro, Beck soars and dangles like a puppet above a number of computer-generated landscapes. According to the drummer for the vocalist Joey Waronker, there was this bizarre dance where he was in a harness inside this moving wheel, being beaten with sticks. But somehow, throughout the 10-hour film production, he was seriously wounded. Beck hasn't talked much about the specific of what amounted to years of severe spinal pain, but it did limit his ability to dance on stage and eventually drove him off the road completely. Surprise, Beck got divorced. Beck was lucky enough to find love again after the end of his 9-year relationship, which included an engagement with a woman who served as the inspiration for his 2002 album Sea Change. He wed Marissa Ribisi in 2004, the actress most remembered for portraying Cynthia, the reserved, intelligent redhead Matthew McConaughey's character Fancies in the 1993 adolescent classic Dazed and Confused. They soon began a family and had 2 children together, a male named Cosimo and a daughter named Tuesday. In June 2017, the marriage ended discreetly and abruptly. That separation date is stated in the documents Beck provided to the court when he requested a divorce in February 2019. That, as well as her husband's decision to file divorce, came as a surprise to Ribisi. In her petition, she placed the date of separation as February 15, 2019, the day Beck requested a court order to be released. Ribisi requested primary custody, while Beck requested joint custody of their children. The divorce proceedings are still pending as of this writing and may be contentious. That's it for this video, TTP member. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and if you feel like we've delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person as a token of your appreciation for the hard work we put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you'll start to see results. See you soon!